I'm not. They might have failed their fear test. Well, there's some reason why not really sure where the animosity applies to them, but I recall from this point in the game that there was some reason why they couldn't charge the prince. Yeah, I think it was animosity because they're immune to psychology. But what happened over in the background, of course, the other chariot has been destroyed and the tomb swarms been destroyed by the orcs. So now it is my turn. So we're going to be in an interesting position here. Quick rules question for you rules lawyers out there. Suppose I charge the unit of boars in front of me as I did in this game. I have to wheel around to do that, and I'll hit the Night Goblin unit. So my intention was to actually charge 2 units at once, and that's what I intended to do in this situation. We'll find out what actually happens. That didn't actually quite happen the way I said it, but we'll find out what happens shortly. Next picture, though, you can see in a bit more detail sort of how things have progressed in the Tomb Kings, in the Orc King Goblin turn. Everything's moved around. The Giants decided not to attack yet, or at least I've decided not to attack it. Tomb Guard have moved forward a little bit, and the Hierophant with the unit of 10 archers have just sort of moved down from the hill and fanned out a little bit to get a little bit of a bit more shooting done. And I should note that his rock lobbers have been going off throughout this game, hitting very little due to his, unfortunately, slightly inaccurate guessing. Hasn't managed to kill any chariots so far, but my Skelepult, on the other hand, misfired, rolled a 1 and blew itself up, so that's why my Skelepult is not on the hill at the moment, or for the rest of this game for that matter. So next picture, what you're seeing here is the Tomb Kings actually charging the Giant on the far side. The Skeletons and the Scorpion are double teaming it, and on the right hand side, the chariots have charged the Boar Boys with the Night Goblins in the way. The Night Goblins failed their fear test and ran because I'd whittled them down so far. They failed their fear test. They were outnumbered in terms of unit strength. He chose to flee the Boar Boys. A bit of a questionable move that, and they went away flying, running away through the other Orc units. Next picture. So this is actually how that turned out. What we've got here is a multiple combat. I'm not really sure whether this was a legal combat, but during their pursuit, the chariots trying to pursue the Boar Boys simultaneously ran into the Rock Lobber and this unit of Orcs here. So what we did is we just had a multiple combat rather than just clipping it. We had the crew line up in front of the Prince, bully included, and the Orcs are just taking it right on the corner. Really uncomfortable combat, and it didn't really feel right in the rules, but it looks... I tried to follow the rules to the letter. I read the whole thing, and I think we've got it right here. Now, very importantly, the magic phase came for the Tomb Kings. This is Tomb Kings turn 3. I used urgency on the Prince, and he didn't dispel it. So a bit of a slip up there. I think he should have dispelled it, because what happened here is I used the movement phase before the impact hits showed up. I used the shooting phase to actually move my Prince to swap with the chariot to his right, adjacent to him, so that the impact hits from the Prince would be on the main Orc unit, and he'd be able to get his hits on the unit champion. Meanwhile, the other 3 chariots would use the impact hits to polish off the Orc Rock Lobber crew. So, next picture. In the meantime, the Scorpion gets another wound on the Giant. The Giant swings his club at the Scorpion, but the Scorpion with initiative 3 jumps out of the way, and the club lands on the ground, unfortunately. So the Giant loses the combat but passes his test. And wow, the Orcs completely broken in a decisive move here by the chariots. You can see a little bit of red painting done on the Tomb Prince's chariot, but that aside, the Orc rock lobbing crew has been destroyed. The whole unit of 25 Orcs has just been overrun there because of the combat resolution score. He lost the combat by 2 or 3 and ran for it. Me capturing the banner here, and I've just placed the chariots so that we know where they're coming back on the table from. And of course that chased the Boar Boys off as well. So this is pretty much a decisive game-winning event for me, and I think he should have held with his Boar Boys and just let me charge them previously. He probably would have been a bit hurt by that, but at least he'd be able to follow up with a charge from his big unit of a block of Orcs later on. If he could have bogged me down again without taking the impact hits, he should have had a much better time of it. Unfortunately, the chariot swept everything away, and that looks like that whole flank demolished for now. And things looking really up for the Tomb Kings. Looks like that the Giant is holding his ground on the other side of the flank, so we'll see whether he breaks through and makes a comeback in some of these further photos. So, looks like some of the fanatics, there are less fanatics on the field. They're just wandering around. You see the Orc Shaman and the Night Goblin unit. He's moved over there just to avoid anything attacking him from that particular side. The Tomb Guard are marching their way up. The Tomb King has now joined the Tomb Guard just to give them an extra bit of movement moving forward with urgency. Next photo, the Giant is killed by the Scorpion. Actually did a great job knocking them out after that. Got a really great dice rolling, a lot of dice rolls there, and the giant fell over, as you can see from the scatter dice there. He's fallen away from the combat, which is fortunate for me. So timber, giant is dead. Great photo. So that's, and I love his little plastic sort of giant template. So next picture, what happens next is that the skeletons move forward in the next turn and make contact, get within 8 inches of that Night Goblin unit. All 3 Fanatics just burst through them, and this is pre the skeletons being destroyed. I think like 5 of them got butchered, which is not that much actually. Only 5 after that, so I lost a rank. Next picture, you can see the chariots coming back on the board, and like the oblique line of undead are really starting to swamp the orcs and goblins now. Casket of Souls went off, but only killed a couple of orcs here and there, so nothing too big from that perspective. Looks like there's another fanatic chopping that Night Goblin unit. Just one interesting fact about that Night Goblin unit in the background: they must have fled and rallied about 4 times over the course of the game so far. 5 guys left in the unit, and very interesting tail of the tape there from the goblins just coming backward and forward the whole time. Next picture, you can see my opponent moving his great shaman around, he ended up leaving him in the same place, but he was just a little bit worried here because I was closing him with the Scorpion, closing him with the Tomb King, and the chariots on the side, really trying to conserve his shaman there. He's still got like 7 dispel dice in the pool, having lost 1 from the other goblin shaman that was in the unit that the chariots destroyed, as well as losing a couple of ranks from the unit containing the banner that gives you the dispel dice from ranks. But generally he's in a good way in terms of magic defense. Next photo, the Tomb King's moving ever closer. In the background, the Tomb King has lost his son, the Tomb Prince, by finally a lucky rock lobber shot straight to the head, destroys the prince and his chariot, doing no damage to the rest of his unit. But that's it for that particular prince, that character. So that guy's down. Moving in a bit closer, this is like Tomb King's turn 5 now, just getting in range to do some charges and so forth. Tried using, let's go to the next picture and just see what happened over here. I'll come back to this middle attempt later. The prince's remaining chariot unit, with the capture standard in tow, charge the Night Goblins who run away, of course. No surprises there. Next picture, the Tomb Guard get finally into brutal combat with the Orcs here, the Orcs with double cleavers, and predictably beat them, just outnumbering the Orcs. They're not too hard to beat them, and that was fairly decisive. You can sort of start to see the red that I'm putting on the shields there, looking pretty cool. I love these photos. Brutal combat at last, man to man, or orc to undead man, right in the center. Next picture, you can see just from the Orc and Goblin perspective how closed in things looking. What happened here is I moved my Hierophant in range of the Scorpion, used urgency to charge the the Orc Shaman in close combat. Tried to get a killing blow on it, didn't kill it. Let's go to the next photo to see how that works out. By the way, you can actually see in a bit better detail what happens after the Orcs flee from the Tomb Guard. They rallied, so they're ready to face the Tomb Guard in the last phase of the game. And just back to this photo here. This will be the last photo of the battle report, and the Scorpion charges into the Shaman. I think gets 1 wound on him, but doesn't kill him with the killing blow. And the combat res wipes him out. The Tomb King used his Cloak of the Dunes to move next to the Shaman to try and get magic in there, but the big Dispel face shot that down, so he didn't get to combat. Scorpion crumbled from Cobrat res, and that was the end of the game with a fairly convincing victory for the Tomb Kings yet again. But my opponent did a lot better than he did the previous game we had last week. The list is looking better. We're going to tweak the list again. I also found out that he also owns a Skaven army, and I've never played Skaven before in my life, so really looking forward to trying that out. Hopefully he does bring a Skaven along for a game sometime in the near future so we can give you a report on that. Apparently he has some demons as well. But hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you guys enjoyed the Tomb Kings versus the Orcs rematch, and bringing you some more over the weekend. I've got another game coming up on Sunday. Probably high elves, followed up with possibly Bretonnians as well. Trying to get that game with the Bretonnians in at last, but we'll see how we go. Thanks, guys.